Hello everyone, my name is Solid02066. I am currently recording for you and going to post it to YouTube just so that way you can understand how a DPS ship is currently made. Now keep in mind, I am making this video on August 27th of 2015, so this is due to the stats that are provided on that date. Also keep in mind, disclaimer, this is a ship that I have personally built, spent time in building, and it is my ship. Does not necessarily mean that this is the one-all be-all of how to make a DPS ship in Star Trek Online. So, with that being said, let's get into the video and I'll show you how I have mine done. Okay, so obviously you probably already noticed that I'm currently running the Tier 6 version of the Arbiter battle cruiser. This is just because I prefer battle cruisers over, escorts or science ships or something like that. But this is what I currently use. For my battle bar over here to the right, I have a certain setup, and that's on a keybind, which if you want to know how to do keybinds, the best person to go to is a man named Valkyrian or something along those lines. I'll find out more for you, and then I'll get it to you during the actual class. But do note that he is probably the best one to go to when it comes to current DPS standings for this game. Also, you'll notice that my battle bar in the center here has a certain way of being set up. I also have the window minimized a little bit so you'll actually see more when I maximize it out. Now, again, I run the battle cruiser, does not necessarily mean that you have to. You want to run an escort? Run an escort. You want to run a science ship? You run a science ship. You run how you want to run your ship. Okay? Now, let's get into what I am currently utilizing for my inventory. You'll notice that at the top I have 5 epic beam arrays. Guess what? You don't have to have epics. If you want to have ultra rares, very rares, heck, rares, have at them. But currently standing, the way that the best weapons are coming out is how I've got mine set up over here. They are the, find them real quick, crit D ×2 with penetration to start off with. What you really want is a crit D ×3 with penetration. Why? It's because that the penetration will give you armor, it will ignore the armor rating of the person you are firing at. Whereas the crit D is also your crit severity bonus. The more you have per weapon, the more severity you are going to get against the enemy you're attacking. Now, the ones that I have currently set up on my ship are only crit D ×3 with damage. One of them is thrust, but still, most of which are damage. I do not have penetration on my particular ship. And I do probably around 30,000 DPS in a infected space advanced. Currently I'm running half the Iconian set. What I would recommend is running a almost full Iconian set. You don't need to though. The reason I run the Iconian set is because just the deflector alone shows that I get a nice little damage resistance rating. Also gives me some nice shield power, some shield healing, structural integrity. Basically, it keeps me alive. The nice thing about the Iconian set is that once you come to 2 or more, first one you get is this enhanced shield distribution. I know this video is supposed to be on DPS, but everything works in tandem, and I'll get to that when it comes to it. But this enhanced shield distribution will give you a nice regeneration buff in battle. All you have to do is hit it. You want to see what it looks like? It's just simply this. See how it has that effect on me? That increases my regeneration rate a lot when I'm in battle, and it will keep you alive. The next thing I have set up on here is the Iconian Resistance Hyper Impulse engines. Normally I like running Combat Impulse engines, mainly because they give you more power at lower levels, whereas these, you need higher power to get more out of them. But again, you don't need it. If you want to run it, you run it. This is what I run, and this allows me to get more engine, more defense, more resistance rating, everything I would need. Now, the reason I say I want to run 3 pieces of the Iconian set is because right down here it gives you the energy augmentation actuator. This is one of the biggest pieces that a lot of the higher tier DPS people are running right now. It gives you, when you're firing your energy weapons, a 5% chance to do an extra 15% energy damage for 8 seconds, and that stacks up to 3 times with all your allies that are within 10 kilometers of your ship. So, that's 15%. You get 2 other people that are running Iconian ships, what is an extra 30% on top of that 15? That's an extra 45% damage, just what you're doing. That's almost half. That is almost an extra half damage just with 3 ships running a Iconian 3-piece set. Now, going to the warp core, this is one of those things that I'm going to say that you almost need. Some will say otherwise, others will say yes. This is something that you almost need. If you are running a Federation DPS ship, you need the Elite Fleet Plasma Integrated Warp Core. Mine is Mark 12. I recommend getting that up to Elite 14 as quickly as possible. Reason being is because it gives you more resistances, better transfer rate, such like that. But what you almost need to have, and I'm very serious on this, is that you need to have it with AMP. Reason being, you can see right there where it says you get a 3.3% all damage for each subsystem over 75 or more in power. What this does for you, see down here in the bottom left, you'll see that I have my 4 little sub power stations, right? I got my weapons, it's at the highest. I got my shields, and each one of those will give you an extra 3.3% damage whenever they are over 75. All right. What that translates into over 12% damage, over 13 actually, that is going to be added on top of you. So think about it. 3 pieces of Iconian, 3 people running it, that's 45%. With each one of those weapon systems over 75%, you are already rocking an easy 52% or 57% extra. So we're already looking at over half. Currently right now, I am running the Jem'Hadar shields. Why? It gives me some nice absorption, some nice shield capacity, kinetic resistance, such like that. I still recommend getting the Iconian one. If you can't, there is a nice set of shields available at your fleet. If they have a tier 4 science station, you can get these elite fleet resilient shields that have an adaptive charge to it. Those are probably some of the best shields in the game. Reason being is because when you take damage, you actually gain resistance against that damage. Think of it like a Borg. The Borg always end up resisting whatever energy comes at them. That is what they do. It adapts to the energy that is being hit with. So that is my recommendation. I don't personally have it up there right now, but I don't need it up there. I survive just fine with these. Now, some ships run 3 omnidirectionals of some kind in the back. Some ships run strict beam arrays. Some ships run a torpedo in the front and torpedo in the back. You run yours how you want to do it. Notice I've been saying that this entire time practically. You run your ship how you want to run your ship. But how I run mine is I have 3 omnidirectional beams technically behind my ship at the backside. So whenever I'm firing forward or my broadside, I'm still hitting you with 8 attacks. Back here right now, I have my ancient omnidirectional anti-proton beam. Gives me some extra damage right there. Just where I'm sitting at, I get 567.4 anti-proton damage, which is enhanced because of a few other consoles, and I'll go over those as we come into them. Next one over is the kinetic cutting beam Mark 13. This has a damage times 3 to it only because I haven't upgraded it yet. It's still a very rare component. With this, you actually get it from the Omega tree, from your reputations. You actually open up your reputations when you hit level 50. This is the one you want to go to in order to get that. It only becomes available at the 2nd tier though. Actually see it right here. You can requisition a kinetic cutting beam space weaponry, very rare. You can upgrade those as well. If you do so, awesome. If not, hey, run your thing like you want to. My third weapon behind me is an omnidirectional anti-proton beam array that has been crafted. I purchased this one off the exchange. They are actually very cheap. Some of them are going for as cheap as 2 million. I've seen some that are some better ones that are going as high as over 200 million. It just depends on how much of a bankroll you have and how much you're willing to spend that particular piece. Moving into my consoles, you'll see that I have the Epic Plasmonic Leech. This thing is actually really good when it comes to keeping your power systems up. Why? Because more weapon power means more damage. More damage means you pick the crap out of your enemies faster. This particular one here, Plasmonic Leech, for my current settings, it takes 2.8 all power settings for 15 seconds per activation. So anytime I hit you with a beam attack, I'm going to steal 2.8 from all of your systems and give it to myself. That is very, very much needed per activation for 15 seconds. Tachyokinetic converter. In a cruiser, flight turn rate is essential, because if you don't have it, guess what? You're not turning as fast as some of these other escorts. So in order to keep up, they gave us some turning consoles. This one here is the tachyokinetic converter. It get an extra 37.5 flight turn rate, and that's going to allow me to turn around and keep up with these escorts that turn on a dime. What this particular console also gives me is graviton generators, which improves my knock, propel, and slow, which is good for science captains. If you're utilizing something like tractor beam repulsors or something like that, you can utilize. It also gives me crit severity and crit chance. Some very good percentages in crit severity and crit chance, and I will get into those when I get into my stats. The next one up, I have the Bounty Hunter's Friend. This one is very good also because it gives me some nice energy resistance rating, as well as improves my healing of my starship shields. And it takes down my weapon power cost, which means, guess what? Again, less power taken for the weapons, which means more power for them to deal damage with. Don't forget that. Translates. Next up, I have the Bioneural Infusion Circuits. This one increases my starship integrity, so my hit points go up. I also have a subspace decomplier, which is the hold and disable, again, mainly for science ships there. But the biggest point right there is that crit severity. It's a very high percentage for the very low console. I recommend this particular piece a lot because of that crit severity. I'm also running the assimilated module. This is a reputation piece of gear. This is one thing that you would also get from the Omega tree. It's available after you do your daily assignments, get it up to level 1, and it becomes available immediately. And that's also a really good one to give because it gives you some nice crit chance, crit severity, automatically increases your weapon power by 5, so you can actually get a nice weapon power to start with. Also gives you better hull healing and improves your knock, propel, and slow, which is usually better for science captains. We also have, now these ones here, I actually should go back and backtrack a little bit. These 3 consoles here, the Tachyokinetic, Bounty Hunter's Friend, and Bioneural Infusion Circuits, these ones are only available from the lobby store. So guess what? In order to get them, you have to open up lock boxes. But again, as I've stated before at the beginning of this video, you don't have to do a dang thing you don't want to. There are plenty of other consoles that are available to you without even having to pay a dime. There's some like the Biogel Pack, which increases your shield power. There's other ones like from the Dyson Sphere. Let's see if we can pull one up real quick. The Dyson Sphere Proton Particle Stabilizer. What does this do? Just off the bat, it gives you a +3 to your weapon power, your engine power, your power transfer rate, and gives you proton weapon damage. Not many things in this game utilize proton weapon damage except for usually in PvP. So that would actually be a really good one, especially if you're going into PvP. I'd recommend that highly because a lot of people utilize devices that give you good resistance, but you take a big hit to proton resistance. So remember that. But yeah, these particular 3 are available only from the lobby store. You cannot purchase them off the exchange. You cannot get them anywhere. But again, do not think that this is the one all be all. You want to do something different, go right ahead. For my science consoles, I have 2 plasma generating weapon signature nullifiers Mark 14 with flow capacitor. What this allows me to do is it improves my shield drain and energy drain, which goes hand in hand with my plasmonic leech. It also decreases the threat coming at me by 71.2% currently. It did not start that way. I upgraded it to do so. And it allows me to not take as much threat while I'm running. Does that mean more DPS? Sometimes. Does it mean less DPS? Again, sometimes. A lot of times, if you're running by yourself, try and put the threat generation ones on there, because when you have more targets coming at you, you will create more damage and DPS when you have more targets coming at you with your abilities. But what this also does is it adds a nice little proc on there called Plasma Explosion. This does an amazing amount of damage when it hits. It is a 2.5% chance. These ones alone will do 3,007 plasma damage. Most ships only come around with about 40,000 to 90,000 all HP. With this, you're taking out a good portion along with your weapons. So everything, again, hand in hand. Per hit that you do, you have a 2.5% chance. Believe it or not, that's pretty good. For all of my science console or tactical consoles, I'm running the exact same thing. It is the Mark 14 Epic Tactical Vulnerability Locator. These are available from your Fleet Spire. You have to get the one of the areas up to level 3, which is the research. You must get your research to tier 3 in order to have access to the vulnerability locators. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that your fleet has to. If you have access in an armada which has a tier 3 research area for the Spire, by all means, ask them. Ask them for a hand. They will most likely give it to you. And it will only use the requisitions from your fleet unless they are willing to do so from there. But I am running 4 of those. Why? Because it gives me an extra 37.5 anti-proton damage on what I already have. That's a lot. That is 37.5% on top of what I already have. And that's out of 4 different consoles. What's 3 times 4? You're already looking at 12. So I'm already doubling my damage just with the 4 consoles, not including the extra that comes up with it. So what these also give me is a nice little boost to crit chance. 1.9% crit chance each one of them. Now, at this point, you're probably going, but what do all these mean? Crit chance, crit damage, crit severity, damage, arc, all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm going to get into next, which is stats. Now, looking at your stats, you're probably looking at a bunch of numbers that you have no idea what it's all about. Well, guess what? I'm going to try and go over as much as I can here for you, because I'm going to try and also limit this video to a certain amount of time. That way I'm not boring the crap out of you. For starters, let's go over the general. You got crew complement, crew recovery, alive, stealth detection, and power transfer rate. Power transfer rate, just think of it like this. The more power you use, the faster it will come back. It will regenerate as quickly as it can. So if you're using weapons that are going to drain your power a lot, like heavy dual cannons, your power transfer rate might not be so bad for them, but at the same time, you're going to take a hit to your damage, because more shots go out, guess what? More power you're going to use. Less shots go out, less power you're going to use. So what you want to try and do is get that power transfer rate as high as you possibly can. Currently mine is at 275%. Translates to 13.8 power supply per second. The crew complement, crew recovery, alive crew, don't really worry about that too much, because that was only really how much hull you regenerate while in battle. Basically, more crew, you have a better chance of keeping yourself alive, but at the same time, because of the heavier cruisers out there, more crew is pretty much required. For defense, as you can see, I've already got a negative 10% to my defense. That's because I'm not moving. It's always harder to hit a moving target. So if I boost my impulse up to full, you'll see that I now have a 62% chance of defense, which means I'd take away 62% of your accuracy to hit me. So always remember that. Currently, my hull is at 83,000. Guess what? That's about mediocre these days. Most hull ratings I've seen over 90,000, even 100,000. So try and get your hull to where you feel comfortable at that you can survive with. Hull repair rate. I repair out of combat at a 147.8% per minute, which means after 1 minute goes away, I am completely healed plus. But that's out of combat. When you get in combat, that drops a great amount. I usually go down to about 14% per minute for regeneration. Shield regeneration rate. I'm at currently 190.7% shields every 6 seconds. That's not the greatest. Not the greatest. It's not the worst though. Hull regeneration rates at around 100. So keep yourself alive. Shield regeneration rate as much as you can. All of my shield facings are at 9,758 with all distances no less than 35 points. Means almost half of the damage that comes to me I'm taking away immediately before it even gets to my full health. Now the big part, the bonus, the attack area. We have bonus accuracy, crit chance, crit severity. Now you're probably wondering, why bonus accuracy? What does accuracy do? Well, it shows you right there. Increases your chance to hit your target based on to hit is 95%. When a target has no defense, you have no bonus accuracy. When your accuracy goes above 100, the overflow is converted into bonus crit severity. So, you're trying to attack a ship that has a 65% to their bonus defense when they're moving around. So, whatever your accuracy is, plus whatever this bonus is, will hit 100. Anything over than that will come straight down to crit severity. And it even says right here, it increases the damage dealt by your critical hits. This is the value that is added to the normal attack damage. So, for instance, if I'm hitting with a 1,373.3 anti-proton damage, okay, I hit him with a critical hit, I double that plus half. So I'm easily doing around 3,000 damage just with a single hit if I'm hitting them with a critical hit. That's not including my buffs. So, but now you're probably wondering, well, why didn't you do these consoles as like crit severity consoles? I mean, they're available in the Spire as well, which they are. They're vulnerability exploiter consoles. Get them at the Spire. They're a lot cheaper, but they don't do what you need them to do, because they still provide you with a nice percentage boost to your particular damage of energy, but it doesn't give you the critical chance. Why do I harp on critical chance? Because if you can't hit your target with a critical hit, the crit severity does nothing for you. So get your critical chance up, and then you can make sacrifices for your severity. Tactical-based skills, science-based skills, and engineering-based skills, you don't need to see those under the stats of your ship. Those come in your skill-based action right there. Movement, not really too much that's needed. Just note that inertia is basically if you're flying and you come to a dead stop, it's how far you're going to travel before you actually stop. Your turn rate is how many turns you do, is how quickly you turn in a single second. Flight speed, of course. Mine is how fast I go in normal speed, not full impulse. Alright, so going to skills. Now again, my skills are how I have my skills set up. Will have theirs completely different, but I will go over from the tiers. First tactical, engineering, science, and then lastly your ground area. So let's start with the tactical. What you want to do, best bet to do for you, max out your starship attack patterns. This is going to improve the capabilities of your attack patterns, such as attack pattern alpha, beta, delta, and omega. They reduce the recharge time, increase their abilities, like give you more damage, give you more resistance, give the enemy less resistance, increase your speed, such like that. Those improve the capability. So you want to max that out as quickly as possible. The next thing you want to max out, Starship Weapons Training. Why? Because it improves your weapon damage. Not just energy, but projectile as well. Now, if you're running a beamboat, this one here is essential because you need to max out your Starship energy weapon damage. You want to do that only because, well, guess what? It's energy weapons. If you're a beamboat, you need to have the energy to do so. So max it out because it improves the amount of damage you're going to do with it. You're doing projectiles, the projectile one. You're going to be running both. I'd probably split these in half down the middle, 5 and 5. Now with defense these days, it's easy to get extra defense. One of the devices you probably saw on my list was the subspace field modulator. It gives me an extra resistance and extra defense for 15 seconds. There's a lot of things out there that will give you extra defense, such as that. So you don't need to put as much into this. Only 6 will do you just fine. But what you definitely want to have is Starship targeting systems. This will increase your base accuracy value. The higher your accuracy, the more often you hit your target. The more often you hit your target, those bonuses are going to go straight to your crit severity. Just remember that. Going to the next section for Captain. Stealth, probably not the best unless you're a Romulan or Klingon. Reason I say that? Because, well, it says it's stealth. Not many starships in the Federation allow for stealth or cloaking. So, my recommendation, don't put it into it. If you want to, again, go right ahead. Threat control. This is only usable in PvE. Papa, Victor, and Echo. So do not try to use it against other players because it will do you nothing. It increases the threat that is coming to your ship. That is, any attack that goes out from you to hit a person, it makes them more likely to want to attack you. Again, does not affect the threat generation in PvP. However, if you're wanting to make a PvP build for your character, this is probably one of the better ones to do. Why? Because you get bonus damage resistance from it, and that still applies. Beamboats, guess what? We're coming back to the energy portion again. You want to put as much as you can into this, so I recommend 9. Reason being is because it improves your energy weapon criticals. Criticals are required in this game. You want damage, you want criticals. So you want to increase this as much as you can because it will increase your critical hit and your critical severity. The more you put in, better it is. If you're running projectiles, same thing for this one. It does the exact same thing, only for projectiles like torpedoes and mines. So put some into it if you have to. If you're running both, I'd probably recommend about 3 in each. Why? Because we have to sacrifice for everywhere else because you only get 300,000 space points to spend and 100,000 max points on the ground. But you only get a total of 366,000, so you're going to have to sacrifice somewhere. Next, in the engineering systems, I put 9 in driver coil. Why? This is a newbie skill sometimes for some people. Well, it's not just a newbie skill. They actually have improved this. I don't know if it was like this around the time that the game first came out, but the reason I like this one is because after you come out of, when you go to full impulse, you drain all of your power to go straight to your engines. You basically lose your weapons, shields, and auxiliary power. Well, driver coil reduces that heavily. So you're left with something at least when you go back into battle if you just go straight into it. So I recommend driver coil because you still get power. Hull repair. Guess what? Everyone loves hull repair. Well, I would recommend maxing that out because this will improve the ability to do so. The more skill points you have in this, the more hull you're going to regenerate when you're using your hull healing abilities. Batteries, you can use it if you wish. I only say that because this only improves the duration that the batteries can go. Not really improving how much you actually will get, but it does improve the actual power of them, or the longevity of them. So a 10-second may turn to 20-second with. You want to use it? Go ahead. Structural integrity, put as many as you can into it. I recommend 9, but as you can see, I only have 6. Why do I say this one? Because it improves your overall hit points. So you want to have as many hit points as you can for survivability, because if you can't survive, you can't create damage. Survive. Subsystem repair, not really required unless you are an engineer or you're fighting against Tholians, because those guys love to take down the the weapon systems. So, I don't use this, but if you want to, by all means, because it will improve your repair for when they go down. Or you can just use an engineer. Warp core efficiency. If you are Romulan, max this. Why? Because you already come into the game with a low amount of power levels. You only get a baseline of 40, where everyone else gets 50. So you want to max this because it will help reduce the amount that you are hit for change between a Federation versus Romulan. What this does is any power level that is below 75, you get a boost to it as bonus power. It does not increase the bare base of it, because, well, again, you only have a certain amount of power for your entire starship, but you can have as much bonus power as is available. So I recommend about 6 points in this if you're a Federation or Klingon, probably 9 if you're going to be playing a Romulan. Electroplasma systems. This improves your power transfer rate. Remember when I was talking about the power transfer rate earlier? You want to have as much power in your ship as possible, because more power, more damage. More damage, more DPS. It translates. So try and keep this one as maxed out as possible, because it doesn't just improve your weapons. It also improves your shields, engines, and your auxiliary power. Impulse thrusters. Again, I'm a cruiser. I need my turn rate. So I put 9 in this because it allows me to turn a lot easier. So it also improves your base impulse skill. When you're just flying around all willy-nilly, you have more speed when you're doing so with this. Warp core potential. Guess what? Max it. Why? Because it gives you a flat bonus to all your power levels as bonus power. More power, guess what? Again, more DPS. Keep that thing at max, no matter what character you fly. Starship engine power. Guess what? Again, we coming back into the power levels here. If you look at this, it says it gives you a flat bonus to your engine power rate. So I'm putting 6 in this because I still like to fly around. I still like having my speed, but it is not as required as what is required for my weapons. So I put 6 in this. You want to put 3, you want to put 9, go ahead. Doesn't matter. Do what you want to do. Hull plating. This one increases your damage resistance. Guess what? More damage resistance, the better off you are, because you will take less damage when you're attacked. Starship shield performance. This one does the same thing as it did for the engines, only does it for your shields. It improves the difficulty to get through your shields and gives you more shield power. If you didn't know, the more shield power you have, the more resistance your shields have to get through them. Armor reinforcements is a good one because it reduces your kinetic damage coming to you, like from torpedoes or large explosions. I don't have any in it, obviously, but it doesn't mean that you can't. The more you have in it, like if you're next to somebody who's about to blow up, you'll take damage from them regardless. Well, this one will reduce the damage that you're going to take from that explosion. So if you want to put some in there, go ahead. Please, by all means, do so. Auxiliary performance. This one will give you a flat bonus to your auxiliary power. Well, guess what? Auxiliary power for science captains is amazing. Auxiliary power for those who are running an aux to bat build, which those come in later. We'll probably go over them later in the actual class. But aux to bats, auxiliary to battery builds are a requirement to have with auxiliary power. The more auxiliary power you have, the more you get towards your weapons. Weapon performance, this one should be self-explanatory. Put as many as you can into this because it will improve how much power you put to your weapons. Again, more weapon power, more damage. Flow capacitors, I have mine maxed out because I'm using Plasmonic Leech. This one improves how much power I'm going to take from you when you're attacking me. So, if I'm going to defend myself, I'm going to drain you of everything I can, so that way I can use it against you. Flow capacitors is a good thing. It is improved from tachyon beams and energy siphons and such of the nature. They're very good. I like it. It's a good skill. If you want to use it, go ahead. If not, go ahead and place the points elsewhere. But if you're not going to run a build that is going to take energy or drain the shields from an enemy, do not put points in this. It would be a waste of. Starship shield emitters. Guess what? This does the same thing as the hull repair, only for your shields. I put 6 in here. Put whatever you feel is necessary. The last thing in the science for tactical captains and engineering captains is going to be the Starship shield systems. This is going to improve your overall hit points that you get for your ship. I max mine out obviously here because I want as many hits as possible. Now if you notice, for the rest of my skills for my tactical captain here, I don't have anything here. Mainly because these are all for science captains. I mean, yeah, they can help you out when you're just flying around. Read them up. But as for DPS, this is almost any of these are not required except for maybe particle generators here. For those 2 science consoles I have on my ship, if I have some points in exotic damage, this is going to increase the amount of damage those things will put out. So I would probably recommend putting at least 3 points into exotic damage, because it will assist you as best as possible with getting the most damage for your buck. Now, you should be at around 300,000 for your space skills. Let's go to the ground. I would recommend putting 3 in grenades. Why? Because it improves the effectiveness of all your grenades on the ground. If you're a science captain or an engineer, I'd probably put 3 in that particular one as well, because it improves whatever you're going to use. But the biggest thing you'll want is the weapons proficiency. Because when you're on the ground, you're going to need as much help as you can get, because the ground game in this game sucks. I hope they're going to fix it in the next expansion, but for the most part right now, it is not fun to me. But I'm still going to have some kind of defense when I'm down there, so put 6 into, at least into the weapon proficiency. Do not put anything into the ground shields or PS generator. Why? Your shields will go down instantly. Still, today, no matter if you have 9 skills in this or if you have 0 skills in it, it is basically a useless skill at this point with how they've progressed with the game. It says it improves your shield hit points when you're on the ground. The more the points in the skill, the more damage your shields can take. Guess what? It doesn't matter, because a lot of these weapons will destroy your shields within a few seconds. What instead you'll want to put them into is, if you're a tactical captain, put it into your combat specialist. Why? Because it improves your ground weapons, melee damage, and criticals. This, to me, is more important for a tactical captain on the ground, because you're still going to get your critical chance. You're still going to get your critical damage. You're going to get everything you want. And on top of it, if you notice right here, it says this stacks with the weapon proficiency skill. This skill stacks with the previous one. If you have 6 to 9 skills in this, you're going to improve your weapon proficiency even more. So guess what? I would take it and probably pump as many as you can in it. Special Forces. If you are using abilities like target optics, stealth, ambush, things like that nature, I would probably put a good amount, at least 6 into this. Why not threat control? Well, it's the same thing as the threat control for the Starship. It does you no good in PvP except for giving you damage resistance. You get damage resistance in PvEs, but guess what? You're also going to be getting a lot more threat. If you want threat, you can get consoles that can give you threat. Do not put it into those skills, because it's a waste of time and you're taking skills from other things that could use them. Squad command is one thing I would recommend. This is personally one for me. I know people who put it into willpower because it reduces your ground control effects. But me, I put it into squad command. It improves my tactical buff and other abilities such as Rally Cry, Strike Team, and Overwatch, and I used every one of those. It helps me out. I'd recommend it for you. Now, between these two, I only have mine in advanced tactics because I wanted the fire on my mark and suppressing fire for my other bridge officers. If I have another respect token, I'm actually going to take the ones out of this one and put it in combat armor. Why? Because it improves your armor. It's like a second layer of skin, think of it like that. They have to get through your resistances to attack your actual damage. The more resistance you have to that damage, the less you're going to take, and the more health you're going to keep. So I'd recommend combat armor as many points as you can throw. It will help. And that is the basis of the skills. Let's go into specializations real quick. You have 4 specializations: Command Officer, Intelligence, Pilot, and Commando today. What you'll want to do, my recommendation, if you're a cruiser, put as many as you can into Pilot, because this will automatically give you a nice bonus to your turn rate. The more points you have in it, guess what? The more turn rate you're going to get. So put as many as you can, plus it comes with a lot of good abilities. If you're wanting to stay alive, go with Command Officer, because this gives you a maximum hull capacity, and on the ground gives you more health. If you want to dodge them instead, go with Intelligence, because already I have 13% in defense and dodge chance. So I would recommend probably putting some into those. If you are a ground combat guy and love your ground combat, go with Commando. Why? Because it gives you a 5% bonus weapon and melee just being there. The more points you put in it, the more you're going to get. So I would recommend it highly. Traits. This one I could get into for the next 20 minutes. And I don't want to take up too much more of your time, so I'm just going to go over the basics that I have currently right now. Accurate. 10% accuracy. I would recommend that, because more accuracy, more critical damage. Astrophysicist. I'd recommend this because it's going to increase your exotic damage and your shield drain. If you're not wanting to use those plasma consoles, you don't have to. I'd probably use a different skill though, but we got different traits for different. Beam Barrage becomes available when you hit your R&D level 15. This adds a 2% beam damage bonus for 30 seconds and stacks up to 3 times when you activate any beam damaging skills such as Fire at Will 3. Excellent trait. I would recommend that for everyone. Moving on, Fleet Tactician. Whenever you utilize your tactical fleet, it gives you an extra 124% 0.5 turn rate and flight speed, including gives you a nice resistance rating versus slow. So anybody who's trying to hook you up with a tractor beam, this is going to reduce the chance of that happening. And you're going to get a nice boost of flight speed and turn rate, so they aren't going to be able to hit you as hard. The next couple of traits that I have, Inspirational Leader. This is probably the most expensive trait on the market today. Last I seen, it was around 200 million credits just to purchase this. I got lucky. These come out of the Elachi lock boxes. So if you want to go for it, have fun. But they come out of the Elachi lock boxes. This is probably one of the best traits out there. It gives you a 10% chance upon activating any bridge officer ability to give you 10 plus to all of your starship skills. 10 may not sound like much, but when you stack it up to 3 times, that's an extra 30 onto your skills. The most a skill can go when you're putting points in it is 99. Guess what? 30 onto that accuracy would help. 30 onto the weapons training, it's going to help too. And this does it for every one of the abilities that you have. So I'd recommend getting that if you can get your hands on it. Intense Focus, it gives me accuracy and shield penetration, so I'm going straight for hull. The last couple of ones I have, Particle Manipulator. This is going to help me with my crit chance and severity for my exotic damaging abilities, such as the Plasma proc. And Point Blank Shot. This is going to come from one of the missions in the Iconian set. The closer you are to a target, the more damage you put out. When you get up to 2 kilometers, you're doing an extra 10% bonus damage. Guess what? More damage, more power. More power, more DPS. And the last one I have on here is Warp Theorist. I would recommend this for everyone, not even just the higher tier guys, but everyone, because it improves your levels and your transfer rate. So guess what? I go for it because, again, power, more is more. For my starship traits, I have emergency weapon cycle. I have the possibility of getting haste and reducing my power cost by 25%. Haste increases the amount of shots that goes out, so I recommend that for anyone. This comes off of the Arbiter. If you can't get any starship traits, there's a few available on the exchange, such as Delta Prime. Delta Prime gives you a crit chance and crit severity stack up to 10 times for 5 seconds with each hit. I'd recommend it. Do it. The space reputation, the higher you get in your space reputation, the more you get. But what I'm currently using is armor penetration, 5% armor pen. Crit severity gives me advanced targeting systems, giving me 16% crit severity. Precision gives me 4% to my crit chance. And finally, particle generator amplifier gives me +5 to my bonus damage, 5% to my bonus damage. For your ground, lethality gives you a 4% critical hit chance. Armor penetration, unfamiliar, 10% armor penetration when you're on the ground. Vanquish, to your target, you do a 0 to 15 damage resistance rating based on your target's current health. The lower health they get, the more damage resistance they get, that you get. So have fun with that. And last is Indomitable, because it's going to give you a extra 10% health. For your active reputations, there's really only like a handful you can choose from. There's 7 different trees. Each one comes with a different one. You choose your one. Like me, you can see which ones I'm doing. I'm doing Bioshield, Nanite Cloud, Refracting Tetrion, and Defiance. You do you. You do which one you want to do. I could go into Bridge Officers for the next half an hour to an hour, but I'm just going to state these 3 guys here, all Romulans, available at your fleet embassy. When your embassy's recruitment gets to level 2, you can purchase these guys. I recommend going for the rare ones. Why do you say rare when half of the things you have is ultra rare? The question, because when you purchase them, they become ultra rare immediately, and they have a nice little trait on them, which gives them this. It's called Superior Romulan Operative. 3 of them give me 6% critical chance. 3 of them give me an extra 15% crit severity. I recommend 3 of them, because you can only buy 3. Guess what? Go small. That here is my hierarchy intelligence science officer. He gives me a nice trait, which is an extra 1.5% of all my damage. So him and this particular gentleman here do the same thing. They're both pirates. Zet I got off of doing my Delta missions. He's a free bridge officer. Go grab him. And when you get to level 4 in your duty officer missions, you can purchase a Klingon faction bridge officer. I recommend a Nausicaan engineer. Why? Because they have that pirate ability. That pretty much sums up my ship for my abilities. It's very simple. I'm running what they call a Drake build. It allows me to have a emergency power to weapons and emergency power to shields. Why do I have both of these? Well, they work in tandem with each other. Because of my duty officers, I currently have 6 of them, and these ones are all special. This one improves the recharge time for any of my special beam attacks. This one reduces my cooldown for tactical team. This one as well. This one here improves, gives me a temporary possible chance to get temporary power levels to everything. In fact, it gives me a 20% chance to get 25 plus on power level to everything I have, just using either weapons or shields. And if they're working in tandem, guess what? They're going to help each other out. These gentlemen here are damage control engineers. These ones are the emergency holograms that as you get higher in engineering for the duty officers right here, you can select them and create them and replicate them. I'd recommend doing so because what they do is they offer a 30 to 35% chance to reduce your recharge time of emergency power to weapons and shields by 30%. Highly recommend that. I'm also currently running Override Subsystem Safeties 2. Why? Because it gives me a 0 to 40 maximum of all my power levels, and it lasts for 20 seconds. But here's the problem. I lose one subsystem at random for 4 seconds, which is totally taken care of by engineering. Anytime you lose a subsystem, hit an engineering team, your subsystem comes back. Your attack pattern alpha required. It is required because you obviously see what it does. It gives you almost 50% extra damage. What are we at right now? Just simply with damage, I'm at like what, 150%, 200%. I'm doing triple my damage output. I recommend Attack Pattern Alpha 3 at all times. You must have that thing continuously running. Attack Pattern Delta to help out Delta Prime. You see what it does there. If you want to pause the video and take a look at it, you are welcome to. I'm not going to get into that though, but just know it does a lot of good for you. Surgical Strikes. Surgical Strikes will add accuracy and crit chance for 10 seconds, but decreases the rate of fire from all your energy weapons. This is offset by the haste that I get from this particular vessel, so that should help out. Directed energy modulation is almost a requirement because it gives you a 42.9 shield penetration with all of your energy weapons. The more shield penetration you have, the less you have to actually hit their shields to hit their hull. You're already hitting it through bleed through, so I'd recommend this. Tactical theme is the Save My Butt button, because what this does is you obviously know that it gives you the energy weapons training and projectile weapons training, but what a lot of people don't understand is that tactical team will actually distribute the shields to the side that is receiving damage for 10 seconds. This is essential to staying alive. Recommended highly. Last piece of my puzzle is Beamfire at Will 3. Why do I say this is the last piece of my puzzle? Because, well, I have to cut this video short now. Thought I had a lot longer, but I need to do so soon. So, rate of fire is increased when you're using your beam weapons, and also on top of it, it adds an extra bonus to your beam weapons. But here's the issue: it goes anywhere they bloody well please. If your weapons end up going to a direction that you're not targeting, sorry, guess what? It's great. It is creating the DPS for you. So recommended for that. The last thing I'm going to go over is, for cruisers, you have something called Command System Efficiency. This one has weapon, shield, and strategic maneuvering. These are essential to keeping you alive and keeping others alive and keeping them doing more damage as well. Why? Weapon system reduces your power cost. The shield one increases shield regeneration and also increases damage reduction for everyone around. Strategic maneuvering gives you extra turn rate and flight speed. Turn rate and flight speed are helpful, are very, very helpful. So you take your choice on which one you want to use all the time. But that is all I have for you today, guys. This is my ship. This is how I run it. I wish I could run a PvE for you guys to show you how well I do. But just know in Conduit Advanced, I do usually around 30,000 DPS. Old Man, who's in my fleet, does anywhere between 30 to 40,000 DPS. So if you want more tips and tricks on how to get your damage up there, please hit us up. If you have any if you like what I did today, please like that comment button below. And if you wish to know more about how to play in Star Trek, please hit me up. I have my email. It's solid02066@gmail.com. Other than that, guys, that is all I have for you today. Please have a very fun and wonderful day, and I will see you again another day. Have fun.